Hey y'all, welcome back. Happy Thankful Thursday. We in it again. I'm so excited for you guys to be here with me. We back in full effect. I told y'all I was coming with a topic today. And so for you guys who did not see me on Tuesday or did not see the live on Tuesday, listen, y'all, this hair is just everywhere right now. Anybody who didn't see the live on Tuesday, that was just my catch up. My recap. I haven't been here in a while, and this is just me reminding you guys kind of what's been going on with me, the life lessons I've learned along the way, and getting y'all ready for this next sprint, right? I don't know if I want to say sprint because life is a marathon, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So I am going to start in a second. I want to try to let a few people come in before I start because I just really want us to engage with each other. Hey, Auntie Cynthia. Um, I just really want us to engage. So, the whole purpose of this thing was for us to have conversations, not me to talk at you because I can talk. But I know this stuff that we're talking about is necessary, and I know it's going to help people. And so I want to be very clear about making sure this is a two-way conversation. Like, really want it to be a two-way conversation when it comes to these conversations, these talks. Making sure that I get your thoughts, and that we share and make sure that everybody is being heard and seen. Seen is the word I want to use. Sometimes we don't always feel seen, and so I definitely want to make sure that that is not happening if I can help it. And so I was thinking, I said, so what are we going to talk about today, right? I was thinking about what should we talk about, coming back, thinking about a topic, and I had all these thoughts come into my mind. I had actually something else set up. Just to be, let's be a little transparent. I had a completely different topic that came up that I was going to share with you guys, but um, I tend to kind of how to use the word. I tend to fill out the room. You know how you walk into a room, you're like, oh, I'm filling out the room, trying to figure out what's in the room, what's around, what's going on. And for me, hey mom, for me, it was very important for me to sense what's going on in the world right now. So, um, I'm not going to limit the show to US, but since we're in the US, all the stuff that was going on with Afghanistan, everything that's going on with Hurricane Ida, everything that's going on with the current pandemic still with COVID. I mean, I'm sure we thought by now we'd be out of it, but we're far from that. And even, just the news everywhere, the flooding that's in different places, global warming, all that stuff. And I said, what is the one thing that I feel like we um, all need to talk about and revisit and really kind of dive into? And for me, it became very clear, like instantly clear. And so I didn't really want to go into it first because I felt like it might be um, too vague. But I am going to do a series on it, and it starts today. Today. And what am I doing the series on? I'm sure if you guys saw it today, we're going to talk about anxiety. Anxiety. And I'm just calling it anxiety talks. Because guess what? Anxiety is nothing to joke about. And I believe it's the unseen mental health issue that people just don't understand how tricky it can be. Don't really understand it if they've not dealt with it or don't even realize they've dealt with it before. So I really want to just dig into it. And it's so much stuff that we can talk about when it comes to anxiety. So today, I'm going to kick it off. Today, I really want to give some fun facts about it, right? And first, I'm going to start with definitions because That's the easiest way to just kind of break down the misconceptions of what we think it is. So, according to the basic definition of it, anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. I actually like that definition because it kind of merges two things together that I want to talk about. Um, and if we talk about when it comes to psychology, um, it is the excessive uneasiness and um, apprehension, and it also comes with compulsive behavior or panic attacks, right? So, when we talk about anxiety, the reason why it's so important to really hone in on it is because number one, we've all heard the word, we all have encountered it in some kind of way. And if we're all honest, we all have had some level of it. Um, and someone's going to be, Paris, not me. I've never had anxiety. And I'm going to say, you're not telling the truth. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a definition in psychology, a very simple definition to psychology for anxiety. In psychology, we say that anxiety is just a reaction to stress. It is a reaction to stress, meaning we all have had anxiety because guess what? We all have stress. And if we have all encountered stress, then we all technically have had anxiety. Um, I'm going to give you some facts about it that I think are important for you to know. Number one, anxiety is the number one out of everything that you can think of. If you think about mental health issues, you think about depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. You think about a plethora of other things that you've heard of. But anxiety is the number one mental health topic issue that is dealt with amongst all over the world, actually. Not just the United States, all over the world. But anxiety is the number one mental health issue that is dealt with. So, what does that mean for us? It means that this is so relatable because not only do you can say, "Oh, well, I know somebody that has it," you have had anxiety. I'm not asking you. You have. Now, I don't want you to feel crazy about that idea. I want you to talk it out and think about what does that mean. Um, all it means is that your body has a natural alert system built into danger, right? So it just means that I am on high alert just in case something happens. And that's why I said I like the other definition. Let me give that definition again about a feeling of worry, nervousness, unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. Why is that important when I say uncertain outcome? Because that's really what anxiety comes from. That's another definition. Anxiety comes from the fear of the future. It is also the fear of the future. It is our brains being able to think forward, and no matter what that might look like, us being fearful of it. Let me give you an example. If you have to cross the street and you see some cars coming both directions, you might start to think of your future self crossing that street and what it looks like if something goes wrong. And so you might say, "Oh, what if that car hits me? Or what if those cars hit each other and then I'm caught, in the middle?" Your mind starts to do things that seem to forecast the worst case scenario. And that is anxiety. That is anxiety. Let me give you something that used to be for me a high anxiety thing. I didn't even realize. When I used to get in the car, I used to lock my doors. You know, people always say, "Oh, when you get in the car, don't forget to lock your doors. Lock your doors. Lock your doors." But I didn't realize that I had like a little bit of OCD with it. OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder, and I did not realize that I had a bit of OCD with it, meaning um, I would lock my doors when I was in the car, sometimes 10 times. It took me a while to even realize I was doing it. And I didn't understand. And when I realized I did it, I was like, hmm, what is that about? And I learned that it was that I had a high fear of somebody carjacking me. Because at that time we had like really high carjackings in the city of Chicago. And I was just like, oh God, I just really don't want anybody to walk up on the side of me at night and carjack me to take me out or to hurt me or anything. And so I didn't realize that I had just, as a safety precaution, I would just pop my power locks like over and over again. Sometimes over to 10 times at a time. And so that's an example of anxiety that is normal, that most of us have. Mine was a little bit OCD, but I'm trying to give you examples of anxiety so that you know that we've all had it. It all happens. It's just a reaction to stress and or the fear of a future event. So now that we have that out, we don't have to argue about if you've ever had anxiety. You just have, right? Um, so let's see. Another fun fact is, or not, it's not fun fact, but 40 million adults deal with anxiety disorders. 40 million. So let's be very clear. Um, it's not something that is not shared, right? This is most than likely you've dealt with it and or know somebody. For the numbers of it, I think it says 1 in 13 adults globally deal with anxiety disorders. Now, what's anxiety disorder? Anxiety disorder is when the anxiety is excessive and it disrupts your day, it disrupts your life, it causes you pain, it causes you to have to reroute your life structure and replan everything around it. That's when it becomes a disorder. And it's causing your life to evolve around it. That's when it's a disorder. So that's the difference. We always have anxiety, have had anxiety. The difference with anxiety disorder is when it's excessive and it's disruptive to your flow of life. So let's see, 1 in 3 teenagers will develop um, anxiety disorder during their teenage years. So now, why is that important? 1 in 3, 1 in 3, 1 out of 3. Meaning, if you know 3 teenagers, one of them will develop anxiety disorder. And that doesn't sound that off because everything they go with high school, everything that goes on, anxiety is very high because it's just an awkward transition phase in their life and they're trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in and all those things. But the difference is the excessive part, meaning that, hey, this is normal anxiety everybody has. And the next part is that, hey, wow, I can't stop obsessing over something, or I literally don't want to be around people because I have social anxiety, or I'm having anxiety about this test or classwork, and it's debilitating and it's literally causing them to have problems, or they have anxiety even just being confrontational with and not even confrontational, but having conversations with anybody who approaches them about anything that's, you know, I don't want to use the word confrontational, but I'll just say anything that's a question is a problem for them. So it's very important to understand and realize how real this issue is. Um, Here's another thing: 60% of people that suffer from depression also suffer from anxiety. So if you have ever dealt with depression, anxiety, 60% of the time is also going to be something that you suffer with. The reason is because they kind of ride the same wave. Depression is the sad down feeling that you get, that it could be chemical or situational. We talk about depression all the time. And anxiety is, you know, the fear of what could happen, and they a lot of time bounce off of each other. I'll go a bit more into that. So If you've ever dealt with depression, most than likely you've also dealt with anxiety as well. But the thing that you said, anxiety can make your everyday life debilitating to function in and make you isolate from people. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's when you have the anxiety disorder, right? When it becomes debilitating and when it becomes something that makes you have a hard time functioning, then it definitely is is upgraded from a regular just anxiety to anxiety disorder. The good part about that is that's nothing to be ashamed of because again, 40 million Americans have dealt with anxiety disorder at some point in their lives. And so it's nothing to be afraid of or it's nothing to be ashamed of. It is actually the biggest mental health issue that we have, which is why I thought it was very important for me to talk about it. You know why? Because right now with everything going on in the world, I feel the rise in anxiety. Everything with the vaccination talks, everything about going back to school, everything about traveling, all the things that's going on. There's so much to worry about. There's so much to think about. You know, people are unsure about what's going to happen in the next month, next 3 months, next year, next 3 years. And so, with all that uncertainty comes a level of anxiety. If not managed, it can spiral out of control. And if somebody has anxiety disorder, it's automatically going there. And it's something that literally can spiral out really quickly, really quickly. So, again, this is not a subject that you haven't heard of. I'm just going into it, dispelling some of the myths and also going deeper into what it is to have anxiety, what it feels like. Um, so I just wanted to give some facts. So that's the main thing. It's very common to have an anxiety disorder. It is nothing to feel ashamed of. It's nothing to feel like, I don't want to tell and I want to hide. No, if you have anxiety disorder, this is something that we need to talk about. And most than likely, the good part is there's treatment for it. Unfortunately, because anxiety is a natural, I'm sorry, y'all, it's this bug that keeps flying around and I'm going to get it. I hope I don't keep going in front of the camera. I think it keeps on taunting me. See, I have this slight anxiety about this bug. It's a little ridiculous. Uh, since anxiety is a natural thing that we all deal with and is built in, and believe it or not, anxiety helps you. And it's so funny because I didn't believe that that was true until I heard an argument about it and I read an article about it, and really what the purpose of it was is anxiety. A normal, healthy level of anxiety will make you alert you to danger. So remember the example I gave earlier about crossing the street. Well, what if you had somebody that did not have any anxiety and they just kind of do-si-doed across the street and this car is racing down the street. And if they don't pick up their speed, they will get hit by that car. Well, in that case, they need a little bit of anxiety to give them enough urgency to move out of the way to save their life. Did you hear what I'm saying? So that means the anxiety, again, all it is a reaction to stress. And so in that situation, the stress is, wow. And again, looking into the future, I see a car coming down the street. I need to cross the street. If I predict what can happen, worst case scenario is that I will get hit by that car. I don't want to get hit by that car. Therefore, I'm going to either wait till the car passes or I'm going to walk quickly enough to get out the way of the car. So, anxiety will help in that situation because it helps you to understand the urgency of the situation so that you can get out of harm's way. If you have no anxiety about it, most than likely you can get hit and really hurt and or die. So it is important to your survival. I'm sure we've all seen somebody, and that's like a really good example because oh my God, I see people that go and they slow stroll across the street, and I'm always looking like, sir, ma'am, sir, you must not want to live today. Is this a suicide like thing? Are you, I mean, and I'm not being funny. I'm being a little funny, but like the idea that you're going to just mosey on by and just ignore that there is active traffic coming both ways as though they won't hit you or that they can stop their car. It is the audacity for me that people do that. and regularly. Oh, and they kill me when they do it with their kids. It's just something to just make me just cringe. But in that case, they don't have any anxiety. Matter of fact, I think it's more. I feel like they also have like an entitlement that to think that nothing will happen to them. And I'll go a little step further. I also believe a lot of it's that, well, see, I don't want to diagnose, but some of that I think is a little depression because it's almost like I dare you to do it. But that's a whole other story. But I'm just giving you guys like pieces of that so you can understand why anxiety, a little anxiety would be good. Like you don't want to not have any, but then at the same time, you don't want what you need is that much just for safety purposes. Um, People that have anxiety disorders, they have that much, right? And a lot of times, if they talk it out and deal with it, the anxiety is exaggerated and or the fear is disproportional with the threat. Again, it's exaggerated and the fear is disproportional to the threat. It doesn't make it any less real to them. It doesn't minimize their feelings or thoughts or why they're feeling it. It's just saying that if they had to perceive the threat, it would not be enough for their level of fear. It's the example, for example, the same car crossing the street situation. If somebody needs to get across the street and they're like, well, cars are going to come and they might hit me. Well, if it's a side street that is a dead end that barely gets any cars at all come, and then it's a small town that might get one car every 2 hours to come down the street. And if you've been standing there waiting for cars to come for over 5 minutes and you see no cars each direction, the safe assumption would be that you can walk across the street safely as long as you look both ways. If that person has an anxiety disorder, most than likely they won't even cross the street, or they will stand there and they will have what we call an anxiety attack, right? That is a manifestation of anxiety or a panic attack, where they begin to panic or go into the full panicking mode because they are thinking about the worst case scenario. They have heightened this fear and it's now become a phobia of being hit by a car. And so now they're paralyzed with fear and they stand there because they cannot they don't feel like that risk is worth taking. To the average person that look around, they're probably like, well, I don't see what's the big deal. Just go, you're fine. And they're like, what if a car comes out of nowhere and hits me? To them, it's very real, and it actually evokes a physical reaction. So I'm hoping you guys are really getting what I'm saying, and also respecting if you're not in an anxiety moment, if you're not in the middle of an anxiety attack, please, please, please do not be insensitive and use very derogatory things that will make them feel worse about themselves, right? Um, it's very hard to talk about it in the first place. Um, so to make somebody feel bad about their anxiety and or make fun of them for having an anxiety attack and or minimizing it is very horrible. So let's be careful. And if you're like, well, Paris, like, what can I say that would be horrible? I'm glad you asked me. Here's another thing. Here's one thing. Don't tell them calm down. Don't tell them it's not that big of a deal. Stop overthinking. Why are you so anxious? Just stop worrying. Just breathe. That's all you have to do is just breathe. It's all in your head. Now, I will admit that before I understood anxiety attacks, I remember being around somebody that I did not know was having an anxiety attack for real. And I remember I've said some of these things before. And I now think back to it, like how insensitive I was. Let me think about one of the things I said. I probably said to them, calm down, just calm down, or stop worrying, it's not that big of a deal. And I have even said the just breathe, and I didn't think anything was wrong with that at the time. Like I really didn't. I thought I was just like trying to help them out. Or, you know, it's really not all that big of a deal. So you see how easy it is for you to minimize somebody's experiences. Um, so I will give you some other things you can say instead of those things, if you ever in that situation, that moment at that time. But let me first give you some symptoms, just in case you don't know. I mean, I think we all know what a lot of symptoms are of anxiety, but I will give you some so that you don't have to guess, right? Um, First thing is uh, you feel panic, right? We all know what the panic feeling is. Like, oh my God, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. Blah, blah, blah. You might have the panicky feeling. Um, Cold sweats. You ever just start sweating for no reason out of nowhere? It's not like it's hot or anything like that. It's just out of nowhere. Even it could be the dead of winter and you start sweating. Your palms get sweaty and moist. That's a symptom as well. Shortness of breath. You start, you start not being able to breathe deeply. You get to a point where you're just like, oh my God, I feel like I can't breathe. And it just starts out of nowhere. Nausea. That was one I didn't know, but did I think about it before? If I've thought about sometimes, I've had a few anxiety attacks before, panic attacks. And when I think about it, I had nausea with one of them. I didn't know that it was related. So there you go, right? Um, Overthinking, right? So even though you don't want to tell somebody they're overthinking, a lot of times their brain is on 100. Okay, if you ever heard the term 0 to 100, it's literally like their brain is like processing all these thoughts all at once. It's like, and they're starting to. I'll give you an example. Like they're thinking and they're like, what is this? What was that? I wonder what they're saying, what they're thinking, and it becomes this thing where it's almost like their brain is doing like the equivalent of an overheated computer, or like a thing where you have what am I trying to use? The processor is at 100%. Like you ever see the CPU usage at 100%, and it's just like it's stuck. It's like it's going so high, it's running so high. It even sounds like it's running hot because it literally is overwhelmed. That's what their brain is doing at that moment. Okay. Um, let's see. Rapid heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. If you've ever just been sitting here and then something happens and now you have your heart is beating so fast it feels like it could beat out your chest. In extreme situations, you feel like you're having a heart attack. And I know I've been there before where I feel like I literally am just like I can't breathe. Like I'm like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack because it hurts right in there. And because my heart is beating so fast, it feels like I can't control it, right? Um, and so those are some common ones that I've heard about, and I know about. Here's some not so common ones that's associated with it. Headaches. I didn't know headaches was associated with anxiety. I did not realize that. But I guess if you think about the overthinking and the constant like going of the brain, I could see how headaches can be a part of it. I don't know if they would even say migraines are a part of it, but they are definitely saying headaches is a symptom of anxiety. So keep that in mind, especially if that's something you dealt with. Um, Insomnia. I didn't know that either. And it's so funny because I know a lot of people that suffer from anxiety. Suffer from insomnia. And I also know people that suffer from anxiety. And I didn't realize that they were interconnected. Can you believe that? Anxiety and insomnia are interconnected. So a lot of times they cannot sleep well because of that. I was just like, whoa, okay, that makes sense to me now. Um, Avoidance. And I saw the avoidance one. I'm like, I don't know what I feel about the avoidance piece, but that makes sense. Sometimes people don't even realize they're having a lot of anxiety because they are avoiding crowds, they're avoiding people because they just like, I don't really know how to deal with the situation. And so it's like it causes them to withdraw a bit, isolate, avoid situations, things, people. So I can absolutely see that as well. Um, increased blood pressure. Well, I mean, that's with the heartbeat, the fast heartbeat, all that, but the blood pressure, even just beating and going through your body much faster. And it literally causes a bunch of tension in your body. A lot of people talk about mental health and they're like, oh, it's just a thought. It's just, this is just in your mind. You can control it. But what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of mental health issues turn physical very quickly, very quickly. It's all interwired, right? We have a whole system that's very intelligent. So let's be clear. Most anxiety is probably the easiest to show the physical manifestations of it. Everything I just said are physical manifestations of a mental health issue that we have to take very seriously. Um, you know, I heard, I forgot to say dizziness. Dizziness, you can start getting dizziness, um, and and those are just a few. There are many other things, but I just wanted to make sure you know that. Auntie Cynthia, you said I want to say the second thing you said first, and then I'll come back to the first thing. You said your brain can get overwhelmed with racing thoughts. Absolutely, and that's what it is. It's like it's I want to give another analogy of what I mean with that. Even with if you have a juicer, if you try to juice some vegetables and you do one at a time, and you ever juice anything, it tells you put the one in it and put the thing down in there, let it go through and clear the blade, then put the next thing in there and let it clear the blade, put the next thing in there. And that's how you do it. But if you're somebody that's pushing all this stuff down in here, it's going to get jammed. Something's going to break. Something's going to, it might explode. It might just whatever. It's not going to work how it's supposed to work because you're jamming things in it. That's kind of what happens with anxiety. It's like all these thoughts coming really fast. And it's like your brain's trying to process them and it's not able to do it effectively. And that causes panic. And that causes the worrying. It causes the stress. It causes the physical manifestations because your brain is just overworked in that moment because it's thinking about all the things that can go wrong. Okay. And so I love the next things you said, Auntie Cynthia. You said sometimes it can be a chemical imbalance that has to be treated with medication and coping mechanisms. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I wanted to say. And I was going to say a little later, but I'm grateful you brought it up now. Having anxiety disorder is not the end of the world. Okay. It might sound horrible. It might sound like it's something that you can't deal with. But let me tell you, like I said, 40 million Americans will have had and dealt with an anxiety disorder at some point in their life. It is so treatable with the right tools and the right plan that you approach it. Is it something that is a cure so you can never have it again? No, again, you can't cure something that is a natural reaction to stress and or thinking about the future. A little bit of anxiety is good for everyone. It is something that's a survival technique. However, so I'm telling you that is because you cannot cure yourself from having anxiety, which is why there's no cure to it, because our body naturally does this in certain situations. Anxiety is not necessarily the thing that's bad. What's bad is the overuse of your brain overusing it and or making it excessive and or controlling your life and debilitating the what's the word I'm trying to use? Debilitating the quality of life you have due to it, right? That is where the anxiety disorder is created. But even if you have the anxiety disorder, you definitely can manage it. It is definitely manageable. Another fun fact is not really a fun fact, it's a sad fact. Only 37% of people that have anxiety disorders actually or suffer from anxiety actually go get help or look into treatment. So what does that tell me? 37%. 37%, like not even 50%. That tells me that what I've already known, which is that we don't value mental health in this world. We don't think it's something that's worthy of talking about. We think it's something that only a few people deal with or get to. People have the nerve to even believe that, one gender has it over the other. People think that it's a kid thing, that people think it's just a worrier thing, and somebody that's worrying. And I happen to know it affects us all. And so to know that only 37% of people that have it actually go get treatment, it just means that we don't feel, and this, I'm gonna go a little far with this. Y'all gonna say, Paris, you're reaching a little bit. I'm gonna tell you I'm not reaching. So hear me out. To me, I think that the reason people don't go get help for it is because they don't think that they are worth it. They don't think they're worth the fuss. They think it's something they just have to man up about, or just get over it, or just be, less fragile. Toughen up. And I'm not going to speak about it because that's going to make me sound weak. And I'm not going to speak about it because people are going to think that I can't handle myself or I can't adult. And so we have, what is that? 63% of people that suffer from anxiety disorders that could totally get the help to manage these things. Well, like you said, Auntie Cynthia, with medication and coping mechanisms. We have all those things that are available. Therapy, so many great tools. And you have people that won't even go see a doctor or look into treatment for it because they think this is something that they have to deal with. This is a cross they have to bear on their own, and it's nothing that they can do to get help. So what are we doing? We're suffering in silence. And then guess what we're doing? We're patting them on the back and say, hey, you're so strong. Oh, you pushed through. You persevered. You're just so great. And I think that we have to change the culture of people dealing with the crippling effects of anxiety and us not really wanting to see it. Let's just talk about it. We don't really want to deal with it. We see somebody having an anxiety attack and we're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And so we back away. And if we see them have it, we kind of just want to be hands off. And we're like, I don't know what's wrong with them. They can't control their emotions. They can't control their feelings. I don't want to deal with them. And it becomes this like hands off taboo subject to try to make them feel bad, when the reality is we all deal with anxiety on different levels, at different places and stages in life. A lot of times, most people have bouts of anxiety, but some people have crippling, debilitating anxiety, and it's not funny, and they're not lepers, and they deserve empathy, not sympathy. They don't need your sympathy. They need your empathy. If you want to know the difference between sympathy and empathy, sympathy is feeling sorry for them and pity for them. Empathy is putting yourself in their shoes, remembering when you had a moment of extreme anxiety and you could not get past it, and having a little bit of the word is empathy. I'm trying to say that, having a heart for them and seeing them and being able to be there for them. So when you see people do things like commit suicide, or when you see people isolate themselves to the point where they don't want to see or talk to anybody, or when you see people that literally just don't come around anymore, realize that you might have been part of the problem, because we didn't make it. Maybe they had a situation where they were having anxiety, they're having an anxiety attack, they were dealing with it, and you were not kind. And you didn't mean to. So this is not me browbeating anybody. You didn't mean to, because you didn't really know that that's what it was. You didn't understand what it was. And I'll give you that. But now that you know better, now I expect you to do better. This is me included. Like I said, I know there have been cases where I have told people to get over it, or just be happy. I even when I'm dealing with depression, just make yourself happy. Think happy thoughts. I think about this now and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I used to say silly stuff like that. And because my thing was, I was just trying to be positive, just want to be a flower child and be everybody to be happy. And the reality is that if it was that simple, they would turn the button on and just be happy. It is not that simple. And just like you said, Auntie Cynthia, a lot of times it's a chemical imbalance that causes these things to happen in the brain. And it's not something that they control with just willing themselves to do it. Yes, there are some practices that they can do to help them with this and manage it better. without necessary medication. But even then, it is something that has to take work. There has to be a plan around it. And it's not something that should be looked at lightly. Okay. It's not something that should be treated lightly. And I want to live in a world where if somebody's having a hard time with anxiety, that they don't, number one, they don't have to hide it because I'm going to be insensitive. Number two, they don't have to feel bad about it because I don't understand it and I'm gonna brush it under the table. Or number three, they can ask for the help and feel empowered to ask for the help and get treatment. That's the goal of these conversations, so we can empower each other to have conversations. Hey, Cameron, thank you so much. I just want to have these conversations because I know we deal with this. And right now, where we're at as a country, where we're at as the world, dealing with this pandemic is no joke. And I know people's anxiety levels are high as anything I've ever seen. I can feel it. Sometimes you can go in a place, you can really feel the tension and anxiety from the fear. And so of what the unknown is. You know, right now the big fear is if I'm gonna get COVID and give it to somebody in my family that I love, or any of those things, or if I'm gonna die from it, you have all these fears. And so us minimizing any of those things associated with anxiety is not a good thing. So that's my goal, is to just bring this to the table so we can have, this is my red table talk. I don't want to use the word, don't sue me, Jada. This is just me saying these are the kind of conversations that we want to have around these topics, so it does not become a taboo thing. And like I told you, 1 in 3 teenagers deal with this. So guess what that means? If you have kids, you have nieces, you have nephews, if you have grandchildren, guess what? Guess what? Not only have you dealt with it, and you, whether you want to believe it or not, I guarantee you they have dealt with it or are currently dealing with it. You said, no, I would know if they had high anxiety or anxiety issue if they were related to me or they were close to me. I guarantee if you're not looking for the symptoms, if you're not somebody that tells them just to get over it or do this and that, I'm telling you, you literally can miss it. You can literally miss it. So I gave you some symptoms of anxiety that you needed to know so you can make sure that that you are sensitive to the idea. Auntie Cynthia, you said good support system, therapists, and prayers. Absolutely. Those are 3 great things. And actually that's on a list I have for those are 3 of the things on the list that I have for helping to manage anxiety. But those are like high on the list. Having a great support system of somebody who understands what it's like, several people to understand what it's like, what it feels like, and what the symptoms are that can help you when you're in these situations. Having a therapist, being able to go and talk to a professional that is trained in this, that can help you with tools to manage it, is extremely important. Extremely important. It makes the difference, guys. I'm telling you, it really does. And of course, y'all know what I feel about prayer, praying and taking it to your creator that created you. And I want you to know you're not broke because you have anxiety disorder. You're not broke. And I can see how you can feel that way. Or something's wrong with me. No, it just means that the way that your body is wired, you need some extra assistance. And somebody might need some extra assistance in another way. And so understanding these things, being educated about it, getting the support system, getting the help through a licensed professional like a therapist, and the prayers to God, who is your creator, who made you, to help your mind align with your body, is all essential. All essential in this fight. All essential. So I definitely hope that you guys heard me today. I hope that you really can receive these facts about anxiety. We're going to talk about anxiety for the rest of September. Now you're like, oh, Paris, are we really? Y'all have no idea how deep the diving board can go. So I'm not scratching the surface. I really am not. I mean, it's gonna, like, if we really want to go into the whole psychology, I can write a thesis about anxiety. There are books, many books about it. So trust me, you can go much deeper. But I'm going to go deeper than just one 45-minute, live. I'm going to go for the whole month. We're going to dig into all sides of anxiety, right? We're going to have these anxiety talks. So if you know anybody who suffers from anxiety that they might not talk about, invite them to the live so we can have these conversations, so we can engage, so we can strengthen each other, so we can learn something, and we can educate as well. Also share this, because guess what? Even if you think you don't know somebody that suffers from anxiety, I guarantee you do. I'm guaranteeing you do. And so sharing it will literally help somebody out that you have no idea you helped. There are people who watch my live all the time, I find out, and then they won't comment, which is fine with me. It doesn't bother me. My point of saying is that they tell me later, oh my God, I got something meaningful from that. So that's why I do this, because if somebody can be helped, whether they express it, help them at all in that moment, I know these conversations are helpful. So the more we talk about it, the less the stigma is. The more we talk about it, hopefully people talk about therapy more. We talk about mental health stuff, then we don't have all these secrets in our families, and we don't have all these, taboo things. We don't have all these things that people take into the grave. Listen, aren't y'all tired of losing people? I am. I'm tired of losing people and then talking like, oh, I wish we had talked about it. Oh, I wish I'd have known what happened. Oh, I wish this and that. Um, y'all, we have to give our flowers while we're here. We have to be there for people while we are in this moment. And the biggest gift you can give to people is to be present. And what does that mean? It means to be engaged in their life and pick up on when things are not right and be there to support them in any way you can. And so this is one of the best talks we can have, because I guarantee you somebody in your life is dealing with anxiety, maybe more than you even know. And just by having listening and talking about these things, you can be a support system for them, maybe more than you ever thought you could be. This could literally be the thing that helps somebody save somebody. Somebody could be drowning literally in their own sorrow and despair, and just in this world where it's spinning out of control, and you can be there to help shed some light and help to pull them to get some help. So this is the goal. So I hope this helped you guys. Again, share this with somebody. I know this is a really good topic, and you think you know all about anxiety, but you don't know everything. And so I'm gonna, every day for this whole month, I'm going to reveal something on ways we can do things better. Oh, I did tell you guys I was going to give you a couple things. I'm going to do that real quick. So, like, what to say, what not to say. I think I'm going to do a whole post about this. So I'll just give you like two of them. So instead of telling somebody to calm down, because guess what? When I'm all over the place, guess what's not going to calm me down? You telling me to calm down. It's never happened. Don't be in an argument with somebody or whatever. Period. If they're having an anxiety attack, please do not say calm down. It does not help. So what you need to do instead is model calmness. Talk gently. Slow down your own breathing so that any anxiety that you have, you don't pass on to them. Like, the worst thing you can do is literally somebody's having anxiety attack, and then now you're having anxiety. Now it's hiding their anxiety because it's being passed back and forth. You calm yourself down, and then maybe just start saying, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here to listen. I'll stay with you while you're in this. You see how different that is? So that you're not putting it all on them, making them feel isolated, like something's wrong with them, but you're being there supporting them through this moment, and you are calming yourself so that you don't hide their anxiety with your own anxiety. Okay? That's one of them. What's the other one I said? I'm going to give another one out here. Oh, it's not a big deal. When you say something like it's not a big deal, you completely minimize what they're going through. And so that is very insensitive. When you say stuff like it's irrational or they're blowing something out of proportion, it is literally making them feel this small. So please don't do that. Even if you think that's what it really is, you really need to be more thoughtful about what you say. It when somebody's really dealing with high level, extreme anxiety, it is as real as anything in the world is. They could literally be feeling like they're having a heart attack and they cannot breathe. And so I really need you to understand that, and don't ever say it's not a big deal. What you can try to do is validate their feelings, right? And try to say something like, I can see that you're really worried, or I can see that this is really affecting you. Because even if you don't have the answer, you don't have to have the answer. Most times, you just have to be there, and you have to not be critical. Be there and not be critical. Those are the two things you can do to support somebody when they're dealing with that. Okay? So just two things. We're going to go into this way more. I just wanted to give you some things to walk away with. Every day I'm giving you something to walk away with. So I love you guys. Again, share this because I know this is a good conversation. You're going to help somebody by sharing this. Because it's not really about me. It's about getting to somebody who's dealing with this silently, and maybe encouraging them to get some more help and some treatment so that they can live a life that's full just like you do. Or if it's you, that you can live a life full with some help and some additional assistance and having a bigger support system than you already have. Or if you don't have a support system, gaining one by people that are mentally sensitive to things that's happening with you. All right. I love you all. I appreciate you all for rocking with me. And I'm back. Guess who? Back. It's up. When it's up, then it's stuck. Yeah. We're stuck here in anxiety for the whole month. So I love you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. Listen, we're gonna hit this thing hard. So if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. If you're watching the replay, I'm getting off now, but you can always watch it. Type in replay so I can know you're watching it. Any comments, please let me know. If it's anything specific you want to talk about in this series about anxiety, please let me know. Send me a message if you don't want it to be public, or you can just type it into the chat. Into the comment section, and I will take a look and take all suggestions. All right, because we're gonna get through this thing, y'all. Okay. Bye. Oh, yeah. And don't forget, you are enough. And in this case, you're enough to look into it and see if this is something that's affecting you and do something about it. Not saying that you haven't, but really finding the strength to understand that you're worth getting the relief. Sometimes people won't get help because they don't think that they have the right to feel what they do. And their feelings are not validated. And oftentimes they're told it's no big deal. Oftentimes they're told it's not real. I'm here to tell you, I know it's real. And I want you to advocate, or let us advocate on your behalf so that you can get some assistance in any kind of way. Okay. Talk to you guys later. Bye.